welcome all to today's webinar, which is a series of being organized by AFST Mumbai and the Chamber. Today's session is the third in the series. We have had 2 sessions so far. So I take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the Chamber, which was founded around 3 years ago, and with the agenda of helping the small, medium enterprises, which were hit pretty significantly during the COVID-19 crisis. And so we have created an ecosystem which will help make these small and medium businesses even stronger. As we all know, small, medium businesses employ more than 12 crore people in India, contributes more than 40% to the GDP, contributes more than 40% to the export, manufacturing export. And so it's very, very important to strengthen them and make them more resilient and also make them a stronger backbone of the Indian economy. There are some key objectives where we also work with farmers, we empower them, make them think like entrepreneurs and operate like an entrepreneurs. We create forward linkages for our members. We have done various study tours, such sessions like what we have today, those kind of knowledge sessions we have organized. All of the ones that have been done in online mode are available on our YouTube channel at CASMB India. We are also trying to represent MSMEs in various forums. Like yesterday, we had a session along with FSSAI where we also discussed the need and the usefulness of Codex, which is the international standards for agriculture as well as food products. These are some of our other initiatives, like Purna Brahma is a magazine that comes out quarterly. The most recent issue was launched day before at the hands of Dr. Alka Rao, advisor at FSSAI. All these issues are available on our website at csmb.org.in. Just some of the glimpses of our Purna Brahma magazine, some of the glimpses of other things that we have done, like we have organized factory visits to AAK in this case, and many other companies. A lot of our students have been able to visit. We also partner with various exhibitions. Recently, contract manufacturing private label exhibition happened in the last week in Geo. There are a few other upcoming exhibitions. Anu Food is happening in August. FIHI is happening in September. So many of these exhibitions Chamber does support. Again, there are some of these glimpses from the work that we have done in last 1 year. And all of it you will find on our website at csmb.org.in. And like I also said, you will find all our past webinars on the CASMB India YouTube channel. We recently celebrated 3 years. So the 4th Foundation Day was celebrated and we had a lot of marquee speakers, and we also gave out different MSME awards. We are very active on the social media handles. So you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, also on LinkedIn and the other handles. Just some numbers, like we have empowered more than 2,000 entrepreneurs, more than 500 women entrepreneurs, farmer producer organizations, self-help groups, you name it. And we have tried to help them become much stronger in their endeavors. We are based out of BKC in Mumbai. These are our other details. President at CSMB is my email address. So if you want to reach out to me or any of our office bearers at the Chamber, feel free to reach out to us. Okay. So thank you for giving a patient listening for the background and the activities that Chamber has done. Just give me one more second as I pull up the presentation on AFSTI Mumbai. So I'm assuming most of you are students from food background and must be familiar with the professional body called AFSTI, Association of Food Scientists and Technologists, which is based out of CFTRI Mysore. So we here at Mumbai chapter are conducting this Edu series, which is the 3rd in a row, happening on the 2nd and the 4th of Saturdays of every month. So the idea of AFSTI and AFSTI Mumbai in particular is to bring different stakeholders in the food industry together, be it the regulators. Like the Codex program we spoke about yesterday was also supported by AFSTI Mumbai. So we had the regulators, the FSSAI, the FDA, of Maharashtra, Gujarat, and other Western region. We also had academia, we had students, we also had industry partners come together. So we tried to create a single platform where all the different stakeholders, especially in the food industry, can come, can deliberate, and can take things forward. These are some of the benefits for the students. Like you can network. Like yesterday, there were students from DY Patil, Nirmala Niketan, Khalsa College. Also, some students were there, so they had a chance to meet people from industry, from the likes of Kenview or Mondelez or Marico's or the Abbott Nutritions of the world. So you get an opportunity to network with industry stalwarts. We also have different mentorship programs for students. We give out different awards, like AFST Mumbai gives out the Dr. K.U. Naram Award during the World Food Day on October 16. We also have conducted different competitions like the Innovation Premier League. We are also doing career counseling or guidance and so many different things. So I encourage students to become part of AFSTI and also become part of AFST Mumbai. Be active in AFST Mumbai in the next future years of your career. Some of the events, like as you know, the current AFSTI headquarters president, Dr. Nilesh Amrutkar, is from Mumbai. So there's very likelihood that the upcoming ITFOST may happen in Mumbai. So please make sure that you do attend, whether it happens in Mumbai or anywhere else. Please do attend. It's like the Kumbh Mela of food industry. We also keep conducting different regulatory summits, like what we had something yesterday. AFST Mumbai, like the chamber, also partners with the Anu Foods of the world, the FIHI. We also partner with the US Soybean Export Council, the US Chickpea Council, other councils or other associations. And some of our marquee events are celebrating the Nutrition Week. Of course, now it's called the Nutrition Month. Typically in the late August or the month of September, we do celebrate across various colleges in Mumbai. We do celebrate the Food Safety Day on June 7th. You'll hear more about it in next few days. And of course, the World Food Day is celebrated along with the Dr. K.U. Naram Awards, which are given out to the toppers of various colleges from Mumbai, which happens typically on October 16th of every year at ICT. So get connected to us, whoever you know from AFST Mumbai, so that you will be getting regular updates of all the activities of AFST Mumbai. So today, like I mentioned, our this is the third in the series of food techie Sherpa, and we have our esteemed speaker here, Dr. Kavita Pandey. Madam, just give me a couple of more minutes before I introduce you and invite you. Some ground rules for today, where the first 100 students can join us on a first come first basis. This is a free event and will also be available on the YouTube channels later on. Students who have attended 6 or more sessions in this series, so please make sure you are here till the end, where I'll send the feedback form, which will work as your attendance for today. So students who have attended 6 or more will get a certificate. Please try to make sure you are on mute so that it doesn't it doesn't disturb the speaker. Try to use the chat box to communicate with me or the speaker or the other members from AFST who are here. And like I said, your attendance will be marked based on your whether you attend the whole session, and especially if you fill out the feedback form. 2 weeks from now, we will be having Mr. Sagar Kurade speak on what and how of designing a food industry. So if you're interested in attending that, please fill out scan the QR code or fill out the Google form so that you will receive the link for our session from 2 weeks from now. So with that, I take this opportunity to again welcome and introduce our esteemed speaker for the day, Dr. Kavita Pandey, who's heading the department of the 5 years integrated MSc in Bioanalytical Sciences at GN Khalsa College, Matunga in Mumbai. She holds an academic experience of over 13 years and is a passionate researcher. After completing her BSc with triple majors in biotechnology, genetics, and biochemistry from Bangalore University, she pursued her MSc and PhD in the subject of bioanalytical sciences from University of Mumbai. She holds a vast and rich experience in multidisciplinary research, including areas like bioprocess technology, functional foods, probiotics, prebiotics, product development, bioanalysis, and pharmaceutics. With her expertise, she has trained several students through online and offline programs, including the very recent DST-funded Stuti workshop on bioprocess technology. She has 27 research publications and 4 book chapters to her credit and frequently contributes scientific communications to science magazines. Her work has been appreciated by experts in the field, and she has delivered multiple invited talks at national and international conferences in India and abroad. She's a life member of Association of Food Scientists and Technologists and the Swedish South Asian Network on Fermented Food. She is a driven individual with zeal to continuously learn and excel and welcomes collaborative work. So thank you once again, Dr. Kavita, for accepting our invite. And the floor or the screen is all yours. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the warm introduction. Is my slide visible?
Yes, it's visible. If you can make it full screen, it will be.
Yes, I'll do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just a second. Yeah, now it's visible?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So yes, thank you very much, Nilesh sir, for the introduction and the warm welcome, and for this opportunity to present and interact with the young minds. So without further ado, I'll start with the session. So the topic is the universe within the human microbiota. And this is the journey that we are going to cover today, where we'll talk about some of the important aspects and we'll end it with something that's more important for the students. This is the college from where I come, and we have served 86 academic years, and specifically this department of bioanalytical sciences integrated that I'm heading has a very multidisciplinary approach, and because of which I have been able to explore different sciences. So when I say universe, this is the picture that must come to everyone's mind, right? So we know that, okay, a galaxy contains about 100 billion stars. Okay. But what if I tell you that each one of you in your gut itself is containing thousands such galaxies full of microbes? Isn't it fascinating and exciting? So that's the reason I chose the topic of today's session as the universe within. So this microbial universe that we all are harboring is in our, not just in our gut, it's like in and on our body, and it's gaining a lot of prominence in research areas which are very diverse, right from gastroenterology to psychiatry to dermatology to nutrition. Latest is diagnostics. You can predict what kind of diseases you're going to get maybe 10 years 15 years down the line simply from your poop or from your oral swab, right? So that's the reason we are discussing such an important point today. And you are the universe from an entire cosmos of bacteria inside you. So how did this story start? We'll just touch upon that. So everyone has heard about the Human Genome Project. So the idea was to start with, how can we control life? How can we get cure to different diseases? And with that, after pouring millions of US dollars, somewhere in 2002, the NIH comes to the sweet realization that it's not the genes which is actually controlling us, but something different. And then they stumble upon a term called as epigenetics. So how our environment is influencing the expressions is what is making all of us different, right? And that's where 5 years after that, in 2007, the Human Microbiome Project was launched by the NIH. And some of the key findings are reflected in this picture, where we see that 95% of the gut of the organisms are located right in my gut. For every one gene that I carry, there are 1.3 times the genes or the genomes that are carried by these organisms. Almost 90% of today's diseases have been linked to some or the other way because of the microbiota that resides in our system. Isn't that fascinating? So each one of us has a unique fingerprint. In a very similar fashion, each one of you is carrying a very unique combination of these organisms, the microbiota, and which is reflecting of your general well-being. So let us see what is human microbiota. Some of the terminologies that we should be acquainted with. So when I say microbiota, it includes the sum total of all the living organisms in my system on and in my body, which includes bacteria, archaea, viruses, fungi, protozoans as well. Now, when I try to pool the organisms with their genomes, it becomes microbiome. So very commonly, people call microbiome and microbiota as the same thing, but they are not technically. Then we have something called as core microbiota, which I will be talking about how it is formed, and that remains with you more or less throughout your life. And as we keep growing through the different stages, there's a lot of diversity that is seen in this microbial population. And that has been divided as alpha and beta. We'll not get very much into the technicalities of the same, but yeah, this is how the universe within you looks like. And if you see, the skin has a very rich, diverse microbiota of more than 1,000 species, which is, dominated by Staphylococcus, Corynebacterium, and, similar species. Whereas if you go to the gut, again, it is very diverse, rich, but having more of lactobacilli, E. coli, bacteroides, and so on species. In the urogenital tract, there are 60 plus species, around 25 plus in stomach. So why do you think these different species are occupying different locations? Because as the location changes, the microenvironment changes where these organisms survive. So some might be super aerobic, some might be anaerobic, some might be in between, some can live at low pH, some at high pH, so on and so forth. So when I see the NIH Human Microbiome Project portal, so this is how it looks like. They're divided into HMP and the IHMP, where we can see that there are 5 specific microbiomes that they are exploring and fully characterizing: the nasal, oral, skin, gastrointestinal, and the urogenital. We are going to specifically talk about gut microbiota and the associated implications. Why gut microbiota? Because gut is our second brain. So, guys, you must have heard of some of the simple English terms, like, how are you feeling? I'm getting butterflies in my stomach. I mean, what does stomach have to do with some butterflies? Is it not? So it's your gut which is doing some expressions for you. So you might have asked the question like, okay, do you have the risk appetite to do this? Why? It's the gut. You get a gut feeling, yeah, good vibes are there, bad vibes are there, intuitions. Now they're all associated with your gut. Don't bug me, or it's a gut wrenching experience. They're all related to the gut, because whatever you put inside this system, how it is getting digested, how it is getting assimilated, what kind of flora it is suggesting, what kind of immune system is being developed, all of this is controlled majorly by the gut. So now the next question that comes in is, how can I have a nice microbiota in my gut or in my system forever, right? Now, let me tell you, the first 1,000 days are the decisive factors. So what kind of organisms you have been exposed to in the first 1,000 days of your life become a kind of core microbiota throughout. Does that mean there's nothing I can do to change the microbiota? Yes, we can, but we will talk about it a little later. So, right from what the mother ate to whether she was exposed to antibiotics, or whether the baby completed its term, or whether the baby is living in a well-ventilated house or having interactions with pets, or how it was, delivered, all these parameters have a huge impact on what kind of organisms are going to get seeded in your system. So right from so earlier people thought that when the baby comes out in the womb, the baby is totally sterile. But a little more than a decade, we have come to know that even in the placenta, there are microbiomes that are inhabited already in the fetus, right? So the feeding style, the geographic location, the host interactions, the weaning, maternal diet, all of this is shaping your microbiota when you're growing. So this is just a simple graph to show you that when we see the fecal microorganism percentage in the breastfed babies, we see that there's a huge number of bifidobacteria, which are the good bacteria, and a little lower proportion of the E. coli and the bacteroids, which on the right-hand graph is quite higher compared to, the left graph. So bifidobacteria is also on the lower side. So what does this indicate is because of the way human milk also, for example, the mother's milk has a lot of human milk oligosaccharides, which are prebiotics and are shaping the microbiota. So bingo, we have now got the concept of the dialogue that agar apni maa ka doodh piya hai to samne aa ja. Okay, so this is just on the lighter note, but yes, whether the baby was breastfed or no defines your microbiota. In this slide, I'm trying to show you the diversity that I was talking about. So the diversity over here, if you can follow my cursor, is quite less. Whereas as you're growing, the diversity is increasing. Therefore, you're able to digest more kinds of foods and more kinds of, edible substances. For example, a lot of people as they age, they cannot take in the dairy products simply because some of the organisms that earlier were digesting dairy products for them have eloped out, are not there in the system. Are you getting me? So it's the diversity that matters and makes you, digest things and do things. And of course, when we are growing, immunology or the immune system building is very, very crucial. So we see a lot of kids, I mean, every kid for that matter, less than 3 years or 4 years of age, they are very prone to cough and cold and, such problems or issues. Why? Because their immune system is not yet developed. But then as they are growing, it is the microbiota that is contributing a lot of components, a lot of metabolites, which is making their immune system fundamentally stronger, right? So this is how it shapes. But then what do these microbiota do for us? Isn't that a good question? Well, yes, they do a lot of functions for us, right from the nervous system modifications to bone mass density modulation to building the immune system. So everyone has seen the advertisement of Yakult, right? Yakultasin. So 70-80% of our immune system lies only in our gut. So it's very important what we are putting in this divine system, right? So this is just to give you a layman's example that suppose there are two people who are eating the same apple from the same tree. Okay. But then this guy has a good diverse, microflora. And therefore the apple gets digested, metabolized, and you get metabolites, energy, and immune system activation. Whereas the other person who's like maybe over hygiene conscious or, is exposed to a lot of antibiotics doesn't have a diverse flora. So what happens is, though the same apple is eaten, the metabolism is not that effective. So the nutrients are not really available and the effect or the output is not really the same. In this slide, I want to tell you the factors that affect my microbiome. So right from the genetics to the environmental conditions that we are exposed to the diet, the kind of diet. So a person who is purely vegetarian will have a different set of microbiome domination, whereas a person who's having a non-veg dominated diet will have a different combination of species, right? The lifestyle we follow. So the people who are early risers will have a different set. People who are, late in the night doing Instagramming and all will have a different kind of microbiome. The hormones, let me tell you, even during the menstrual cycle, when the first half, the progesterone dominated cycle part, a different set of hormones will be active. I mean, different set of organisms will be active. And in the other phase, there are different species that will dominate or take over, right? On the right side, I want to tell you what are they really doing in this specific location. So in the mouth, for example, they are assisting in digestion. In the lungs, they are lubricating the pulmonary tissues, therefore having my functioning proper. In the stomach, they're preventing the gastric complications. In the sexual organs, they're maintaining the pH and H2O2 simply to kill the microbes that are not necessary there, right? So they serve a lot of functions. Another slide where I want to tell you the set of enzymes that are produced by these organisms. Let me tell you, these enzymes are not produced by our genes. Okay, so if I want to digest dairy product, I need to have lactase. Otherwise, if the organism producing lactase is gone, I will I'll start having flatulence and bloating and all those kind of symptoms, right? So they produce, even for the drug activation and degradation and detoxification, we need the enzymes that are produced by these microbes in our gut. So isn't it really crucial, right? So some people having the same food or the same medicine may not react or give, output in the same manner. And that is because of the difference in their gut microbiome. On the right, I want to tell you about the different metabolites that these gut microbiomes produce for us. For example, bile acids. They're produced to take a check on or metabolize all the lipids in our body. Vitamin K, very, very crucial for blood coagulation. But then it's not produced by us predominantly, it's the organism staying there. Short chain fatty acids. These are a lot of, tiny little fatty acids that are produced as power pack of energy. Also, they are modulators. They do a lot of communication within the cell and the host cell interactions. Dopamine, tryptophan, serotonin, indole, these are some of the key metabolites that are important for a good mental health, which again is produced by the microbes here. So if you are a person who is very moody, or a person who's always optimistic, or a person who is a negative oriented person, the credit or the fault is of the microbiome. Okay. Now, there are two more terminologies that we need to understand, called as eubiosis and dysbiosis, and their direct implications on our overall health. So when I say a lifestyle change, so our ancestors, they were quite physically active. They were living amongst the nature. The kind of diet they had was unprocessed, was pure, was unadulterated. And therefore, their microbiota was quite different. They had more of bacterial diversity. The bacteroidetes and firmicutes ratio was quite balanced. And there was a lot of Prevotella species, which you can see overall in our gut, in our overall microbiota, they are quite dominant. Whereas now, when we have a lot of processed food, we are sleep deprived, we are over hygiene conscious, we are having a lot of, drugs and antibiotics. We just pop in an antibiotic anytime we are not feeling okay, right? So all of this has had effect on the total microbiota population. And if you see, some of these species, they are no longer a part of our system. And probably that's the reason the allergies, the kind of indigestion problems, the kind of cancer issues that we look around for, they have increased. So it's a matter of worry that we need to address. And all these urban lifestyles majorly are causing something called as gut dysbiosis. So please understand, in the gut, there is always a good and bad bacteria. We'll talk about it. And then there's tumor formation, diabetes, obesity, and all of this problem seep in. And these root causes are enlisted in this picture. So as I was saying, in this gut, we need both the good as well as the bad bacteria. Good ones like the lactobacilli, bifidobacteria, and the bad ones like the helicobacteria or the methanobrevibacteria, Smriti. Now, when there is a balance of the good and the bad, we call it as the eubiosis. As long as there is a balance of this good and bad, we are enjoying a good health. The moment, for whatever reasons, this balance goes for a toss, if there's more of bad bacteria and the good bacteria have dripped down, that is called as dysbiosis. So basically, the imbalance is dysbiosis, and that attracts a lot of diseases and health conditions, right? And this relative proportion of the good and the bad changes dynamically, changes with the time you have your lunch, changes with the kind of weather you're experiencing, changes with the kind of food you are having. And that relative dynamically changing proportion is what is in your control. The core microbiota may not change, but this dynamically changing microbiota can definitely be altered, and we'll see how. So this, I just wanted to show you that though we say it's just the gut, it is controlling my muscles, the bone deposition, the lung health, the overall CVD probability, whether I will get CVD, I mean cardiovascular diseases or no, is largely dependent on what kind of composition I have. In fact, many people, they do a lot of products, they use a lot of products, but their skin doesn't glow. The reason is, again, the microbiota and, the endocrine, the hormonal system, the gut-brain axis. So it's all related to all the visceral organs. And as long as there is balance, you can see on the left, there are so many effects that you are going to enjoy. Basically, good health. The moment balance goes for a toss is when you're going to attract several kinds of diseases in all these visceral organs, which, as said by Hippocrates, is all diseases begin in the gut. So these diseases could be categorized as psychiatric disorders, to cancers, to CVDs, to infections, to metabolic disorders. Nowadays, because of faulty lifestyle alone, there are plethora of metabolic disorders that we are experiencing, especially the younger generations, right? And that needs to be definitely addressed. For that, I have just taken obesity as an example. So if I try to compare a normal, healthy individual with an obese one, the simple alterations that you can see is the bacteroidetes are on the rise in the lean person, whereas in the obese, it's the firmicutes that take over. There's diversity in the microbiota and there's stability, whereas that is lost in the obese person. If I look at the epithelium, which is like the defensive wall, the tight junction integrity is intact in a healthy person. It is lost in case of a obese person. Even the energy harvest is on the lower side, and therefore, if you look at the metabolic output, they are more prone to diseases like adiposity, insulin resistance, or triglyceride accumulation, so on and so forth. And all this is related to the kind of microbiome they are carrying, which of course is dependent or influenced by the food, the lifestyle, and everything. Now, let us address one of the aspects of this microbiota, which is immunomodulation. So, how they impact our immune system. So here, I'll not get into very technical details, but here there are these microbes. So suppose they are bad microbes like the firmicutes ones, they are going to release some of the ingredients or components which are going to act on my immune cells and provoke them to induce inflammation. Now, let me tell you, out of all the diseases, I can say 65 to 70% of all the diseases, the root cause, if you try to find out, is inflammation. Okay. Now, when I say there are good microbes like the bacteroidetes, so they are producing some array of metabolites which further are controlling the same immune cells, but by producing a different set of interleukins and cytokines and different factors, they are trying to have an anti-inflammatory effect. Now, that is why we need to have a good balance of this good and bad bacteria in our microbiota. Another picture, a close-up picture, you can say. So this blue line that you see is the mucus layer. So it's like a barrier just upon the functional epithelial lining. And these yellow boxes that you can see, they are the tight junctions. So as long as the gate is closed, nothing from exterior really seeps inside the cell. But if there is an imbalance, that is dysbiosis, you see the tight junctions are lost, which means the integrity of this is loosened, which means the pathogens can easily enter into my cell and they can start metabolizing and creating havoc in my system, which later on I will detect it as ulcerative colitis or IBD or IBS, right? Another important area is the vagina. So it's the most, again, ignored kind of thing. But then if you see, this is the vaginal epithelium. And when you have this layer of common cells, layer of good bacteria around them, these bacteria are carrying out so many different types of metabolisms, right? From producing the DNL form of lactates to giving out the H2O2, therefore maintaining the pH of 4, making the nutrients available, producing something called as bacteriocins. They are like the naturally or peptide kind of antibiotics, bacteriocins. And overall, what they are doing is maintaining a harmony inside the area. And again, it is microenvironment related. So I was talking about the gut feeling. So just try to pay attention here. So suppose you have stress, okay, next week say exams chalu hone wale, and you're missing out on your diet or something like that. And then this stress and the changes in the dietary pattern and your sleep deprivation is going to impact the microbiota, which is going to then give you a leaky gut. Just the last picture that we saw, the leaky gut. So it will let all the unnecessary metabolites and organisms into the system. That will induce or activate the immune system, especially by the endotoxemia, and the lipopolysaccharides will go for increase. This will then cause the inflammatory cytokines production, which will break down the blood-brain barrier. Lot of, what Munna Bhai said, chemical locha. So all these chemical locha starts happening. There's synaptic plasticity. So have you experienced the phases where, there is clouding in your brain, you can't take a decision, you're confused, you're taking longer than needed time in making a decision. So all of this is because of the change in the microbiota, which you did because of taking a lot of stress and changing your dietary pattern and your lifestyle things, right? So that is the intricacy of the microbiota in our everyday life. I don't think I'll put in a lot of time here, but in general, so there is a nerve called as the vagus nerve that directly connects from the brain to the intestine. Okay. And through this, all the different metabolites that are produced by the good bacteria, like I told you, the schifas and all, they are indirectly going to have impact on things like your mood, your cognition, how you feel. So sometimes you just blurt out, you just feel like crying for no reason. So all of this is because of buildup of some emotions, which is because of some chemical hormones and cortisol buildup and all that in your system, which is implication of microbiota dysbiosis. Here, I just wanted to show you that how the diversity is impacting your neuronal health. So, for example, by the time you age, you start forgetting things. You are a little less, quick. There's a lot of functions that are lost. So that is because of apoptosis and all of these functions, which is associated with lessening of the microbial diversity. Okay, so mouth also, for example, has been a very important organ for diagnostics now, because simple oral swab and then certain microbiome analysis can tell me what kind of diseases I'm more prone to, or what kind of SNPs, that is single nucleotide polymorphic DNAs, that I'm carrying, and what kind of like diseases I can encounter in the coming future. So there are companies like MI Therapeutics, if you have heard of, or companies like Map My Genome. They are very actively, doing such kind of analysis. So oral microbiome, like I told you, it can tell you right from simple disease like periodontitis to diabetes, or whether you have some form of cancer that you can develop, or esophageal cancer, or cystic fibrosis, occupational or non-occupational, your chances of developing cardiovascular diseases or rheumatoid arthritis, or even Alzheimer's and related disorders. So all of this picture can be simply cleared by doing an oral swab and microbiota analysis, right? So should we just leave the program, or the problem, and then just wait because nothing can be done? Well, yes, something can be done, and that is the functional foods. So let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. With that objective, we are going to see how we can alter these microbes in our system in our favor. Right. So when we say functional foods, there are an array of types of functional foods. Specifically, we are going to talk about probiotics and prebiotics in my slides. So everyone knows probiotics, they are the live microorganisms which, when administered in adequate amounts, confer a health benefit on the host. And when we say prebiotic, they are the fiber contents which are basically favorite foods of probiotics. So if I eat prebiotics, so they are going to keep specifically promote the growth of my probiotics. And in this duo, they are going to bring about a lot of health advantages to us. Biotherapeutic agents, so basically these microbes, when they are used for therapeutic activity, and nutraceuticals, I think it's a big buzzword, everyone knows about it. So can we call probiotics as functional foods? Yes, we can. Why? Because they protect us from different types of toxins, pathogens, infections. They also absorb a lot of important, metabolites like the vitamins, the mineral absorption, the glucose, fatty acid absorptions. They also function at the intestinal mobility level. Like I told you, the tight junctions, they should be intact, right? So probiotics are responsible for contributing that. Bile creation, gastric secretion, they do a lot of your immune modulation, and therefore they strengthen your immune system, which is the need for enjoying a good health, right? Also, they are producing an array of metabolites that give you added advantages, like set of enzymes that we saw, several vitamins that we saw in the list, and also a lot of short chain fatty acids, which are very, very important in doing the crosstalks and interactions. This is a list of some of the well-known microorganisms and their associated effects. Yes, so these are all known, well established. Here, I want to give you a list of fermented products which have been a part of, for that matter, even the Indian scenario, like dokla, idli, they are all fermented products. So when you have these fermented products, you are naturally getting in all these probiotics anyway, right? So buttermilk and dahi and all of that. Other than that, we know products like kefir, kombucha, kimchi, and all of that. So thanks to the nutraceutical companies, now it's global. Products are available everywhere. So here I just wanted to show how these bacteria are selected, the probiotic bacteria, based on what kind of attributes they have. They are called as probiotic or not. So how do they really help us, or how do they really help our gut in, modulating the microbiota? Basically, by producing a lot of antimicrobials. Like I told you, the bacteriocins. They destroy a lot of toxin receptors. So in general, as a part of our metabolism, when we eat different types of products, we do produce toxins. It's a part of metabolism. But then these toxins or free radicals or, these metabolites, they also need to be suppressed. So probiotics are the ones which will neutralize these toxins, and therefore we stay healthy. But if there are no probiotics or imbalanced microbiota, these toxins will go on the rise and they will take the toll. There's competitive exclusion. So even the E. coli or the bad bacteria is trying to bind to this site, and the probiotics is also fighting it. So probiotics will, push it away. That is competitive exclusion. How do they do that? Also by producing a lot of organic acids. So when they produce acids like, lactic acids and all, they are lowering down the pH, therefore making it not very comfortable for the bad bacteria to grow in that space. They also enhance the barrier function, like I told you, by having the tight junctions in place and all of that. And they are also enhancing the IgA secretion. So when we say immunoregulation, it is these cytokines and immunoglobulins that are enhanced. And all of this is brought about by the probiotic consumption. They have a lot of advantages that we can see on the left, but yes, some disadvantages when we look at the industry side of it. For example, there are few controlled trials when the, as if suppose I've undergone a surgery and I am immunocompromised, there are few cases where probiotics have also caused the cross-contamination or infections. And of course, regulatory issues. I think I can remove the regulatory issues. They're quite tapped now. But yes, these are some of the disadvantages that we need to look into. So like I said, probiotics are the good bacteria, but for promoting the growth of these good bacteria, we need some prebiotics. And these are the wonderful sources of prebiotics, which are nothing but non-digestible dietary supplements like oligosaccharides or inulin or lactitol, right? And what they do is they supply nutrients to the good bacteria, which is your probiotics and all. They escape the digestion in the stomach. So they reach in the intestine and they give bulk to the stools that we pass. So people who are having a balanced prebiotic composition will not have the problems related to constipation and bowel movements. Yeah. And it's, as I said, it should promote the proliferation of beneficial bacteria like the lactobacilli and bifidobacteria. Only then you can call them as prebiotics. These are some of the pictures of, the monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, polysaccharides that we see, like the inulin. So as you can see, they are bulky. They are fibers which are a little bulky, and that is how they are adding weight to the stool. These are some of the tubers and roots and common sources of prebiotics like garlic. So Indian cuisines, they have a lot of garlic and onion and, for that matter, banana and, these kind of sources. So we are anyway having our continuous source of prebiotics. So what kind of functions they do is they restore the gut bacterial balance. So restoration is more of, so there was balance, eubiosis, for some reason there was imbalance, dysbiosis, but I want to bring it back to balance. That is restoration. And that can be done by a good pro-prebiotic combination. And of course, when it's two to tango, the immune system goes for a stabilization. Then there's modulation of blood lipids, anti-carcinogenic effects have been reported. They have a lot of positive impact on the mineral absorption. So your bones will be stronger, right? And they will be more bioavailable. There's anti-obesity effect because you get your satiety quite easily. They have effect on the NAFLD also and on the non-alcoholic hepatitis too. Sorry for the bad image, but it had good loads of information, so I had to add this. So we are taking a lot of prebiotics, but then अरे मैं तो prebiotics लेती हूँ but उसका असर नहीं हो रहा है. क्यों? Because I might be smoking or I might be consuming alcohol or maybe a very rich sugar diet, or I'll be having lack of exercise. I may be suffering emotional stress. So even if I'm having all this, but I'm having exposed to these, the pre or probiotics may not give its full potential. So you have to keep a tap on these as well. Okay, you have wonderful balanced diet, but you are awake the whole night, nothing is going to work for you, right? So it's the balance that strikes the required effect. So this is just a comparison of pro and prebiotics, where you can see a lot of products on the left, examples, and the examples of prebiotics onto the right. So this is how your plate should be. For a good microbiome, for a good microbiota, you should include a lot of fresh vegetables, from beets to carrots to a lot of, vegetables, squash and everything. You should have whole pieces of fruits and not their juices and all that, because you lose on the pulp and the fiber content. Indian food is best known for herbs and spices. Why? Because they are rich source of antioxidants and a lot of polyphenols. So polyphenols also fall under the classification of prebiotics. So they're amazing molecules that nurture and pamper the microbes in your gut. Then of course probiotics, we have talked a lot about it. Wild caught fish, cage free eggs, grass fed pasture raised meat. So when you're having non-veg also, you should have a good sound knowledge of how the organisms, those animals were raised and all that. So a lot of nuts, red wine, dark chocolate, they're always a green signal. Whereas you have to avoid pasteurized dairy products, you have to avoid refined carbohydrates, refined vegetable oil. So basically anything that is processed has already lost its, the nutritional value. So you should avoid such kind of processed and ultra processed foods. Definitely if you want to keep your microbiome healthy. So in this slide, I just wanted to talk about two simple techniques of microbiota restoration. So one is vaginal seeding. This is specifically done because, nowadays we see a lot of C-sections happening. Okay. So now imagine when I told you that microbiota seeding is dependent on how the baby was delivered. So if the baby is coming out from the birth canal like this, okay, the baby's body is going to get coated with all the good flora in the vagina of the mother, right? So automatically good bacteria has been seeded in the fetus, right? Now suppose the baby is coming out of C-section. So there, the exposure is going to be with the organisms on the skin, which is more of staph and related species, which is going to be totally different. So what now we do is, the hospitals, they do is, 1 hour before the C-section, they have a vaginal gauze, is collected. And then when the neonate is out, it will be swabbed within the 2 minutes of birth. That is, in a way, attempt to give good bacteria to the baby. Now, why this is done, let me tell you, dear friends, is because the C-sections increase has directly been correlated with allergies, asthma, and all such related issues. So, immuno-related issues and so allergies and all. So that's why this is an attempt that the doctors in the hospitals have started practicing. What is the other way to do the microbial restoration is a fecal matter transplant or fecal microbiota transplant. Again, it's a very established protocol, especially in the US. So if you go to Kansas or if you go to John Hopkins and all, they're already having these in patients practiced. Okay. So adult patient which is suffering from some severe dysbiosis, the fecal matter from a super donor is collected. Super donor is the one who is having a very balanced microbiota, which has to be of the same age and ethnicity, I mean, plus minus. And then when you do this fecal microbiome transplant to the patient, they have seen that there is a, direct transformation in the person and the metabolism and all of that. Yeah, so it's a very established procedure. These are some of the applications. So right from antibiotic resistance related domains to diagnostics to a lot of areas. Here, I just wanted to tell you how exactly is microbiome analysis done. So let's say a poop sample is taken. From that, the bacterial genome extraction is done. So there is Illumina, there's Oxford, all these industries are having well-established protocols and kits available. So once this goes into the system, the bacterial genome data is digitized, and then you do the correlations and, abundance and functional analysis. And then you can tell the patient that based on which species are on the high or the lower side, and what is their alpha diversity, beta diversity, what is the probability of they developing whatever XYZ disease or health condition, you will come to know from their data, right? So another thing is a multi-omics approach in the microbiome research. So after the sample is collected and the host cells are removed, it's the microbial community that they want to look into. So here they are doing metabolomics to find out what kind of schifas are produced, what kind of intermediate metabolites are produced. They are taking the same sample and trying to tap on the proteomes that are inside the sample. They are also trying to have metatranscriptomics and understand the RNA, the expressions of certain genes. They are doing shotgun metagenomics and identifying which strain or which specific organism is it. Same with 16S rRNA gene profiling. And with all of this, they come to know about, So this is how the multi-omics approach is in place in the microbiome research. So if you are planning for your PhD or further research or maybe, get into such kind of domains, you need to be well versed with these technologies. Just to give you an idea of the word human microbiome, when you type it on Google Scholar, 2006, it gave you just 52 hits. In 2016, it was 4,000. Within 4 years, 2020, there was 3,32,000 hits. And today, that is just 4 years post that, we have 11,90,000 hits just on the word human microbiome. So what I'm trying to picture out of this is that this domain is dynamically growing, which means they will need experts. They will need students who have some know-how of the human microbiota and the microbiome and the associated sciences for becoming their employees or for carrying out research or for probably having your own startups in this domain, right? So who all can explore this area? The scientists, the biologists, the cosmeceuticals. So there's a whole industry where they're trying to tap on these microbiota inducers so that females have anti-aging kind of effect or wrinkle-free effect or they are having glowing skin and glass glow and all that. I think I recently saw an advertisement, glass glow of the Korean this thing. So somewhere it's these ingredients that are probably giving out those kind of thing. Of course, we need a lot of bioanalysts, we need a lot of biochemists, food experts can explore this area and work in this particular domain. And what kind of skill set would you need? So you need to know about what is a nutraceutical product development, proteomics, 16S rRNA, computational biology, genomics, bioinformatics, functional foods, so on and so forth. And you cannot miss out the machine learning and artificial intelligence in the current domain for sure. Yeah. So these are my references, and I hope I've done justice to the time. And thank you very much for patient hearing. That's my email address. So if you have any questions or any kind of communication, we can definitely get connected. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita, for a fabulous overview. We can take some questions. If anybody has any questions, they can put it in the chat box or also unmute and ask. In the meantime, I'll also put the feedback form. So I request everybody to fill that out because that will also be used to mark your attendance. So anybody, any questions?
Nilesh, Dr. Yadav this side. Hello?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes. Go ahead, Dr. Yadav.
Very nice presentation, Dr. Kavita.
Thank you
So
very
I
much,
think
sir.
really very informative.
Thank you, sir.
Can we get the PPT copy of this?
I'll share it across, sir.
It needs a detailed study really to make it into a, really fruitful scientific innovation.
Surely, sir.
To improve the overall health of people.
Yes, sir.
Really wonderful presentation, and I think linking gut microflora and their, with the brain functioning and improving overall body immunity. It's a very interesting area to address, the
Definitely,
times
sir.
you're facing. So thank you so much. Very pertinent subject, I must say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have questions?
Maybe I'll ask some question. You did touch upon it. Like any particular entrepreneurial ideas? People want to become an entrepreneur? Yeah.
Sure. So one of the idea could be simply by getting into the diagnostics part of it. Like there have been some sporadic entrepreneurs in India, especially in the Bangalore, Hyderabad, and even in Mumbai, where they are trying to use it for the diagnostics purpose. Suppose you want to have, you can address to the niche population. So patients who are having cancer or, for them, providing the palliative health care can also include this kind of approach. So that could be another area that can be tapped upon. And now, like I told you, in cosmeceutics, people are crazy. They're ready to pay any kind of amount. It's just that you should have the effect. So if you have some combination of organisms that when ingested or that when, administered, is going to give you that required glow or tightening of the skin, collagenase producers, for example. If you have such kind of combination, definitely it will show up in the skin and related domain. So cosmeceuticals could be one big area that could be tapped upon by a startup. But yes, you will have to have technology in your favor, because this is not just mixing something and just selling it off. You will have to prove it backed by science. So that would be my answer to it. Yeah. So there's a question that I can read that,
Yes.
yeah. What is that? Ma'am, can you please explain more about how the gut microflora is directly influenced by the genome? So see, like when I say that for every cell that I am having, there are, 1,000 more cells, or, in terms of genome, it also multiplies. So somewhere when I say epigenetics, my genes are going to express and they are going to have the influence of these genes and these organisms that are in my environment. So that's how it's not just my genes that are going to express, it's the environment and the ancillary components that come into picture that influence the overall expression. So that's how it goes. I hope I answered you, Rahul. Okay. Person with good memory have what type of gut flora? Okay. So there's no specific answer to that. But then, see, some people, let's talk about pheromones. Have you heard of pheromones? So every person has a unique body odor. Now, that body odor is somewhere has been established. It's been established that is somewhere responsible for, attracting a specific kind of person. Okay, so sometimes wo jo kehte hain, love at first sight and all of that. So somewhere these pheromones, which is dictated by the microbiota that you carry in you, okay, is dictating such kind of thing. It is nowhere visible to anyone. But in the olfactory terms, it has its effect. In the same way, some people are very good with registering numbers in mind. Some people are very good with, being spontaneous. Some people, even if everything is in front of them, they cannot really make a decision quickly. So somewhere, how well the vagus nerve is connected to the metabolites and how the metabolism is actually carrying out at that particular cellular level is what is controlling all of that. But if you ask me which organism and all, I think no one will have an answer to that. But yes, definitely the kind of food that you're having. That's why our nani dadis, in response to the seasons, there used to be a different set of food delicacies that we used to have in the plate. We never ate the same product throughout 12 months of the year. Every seasonal variations were also there. We are encouraged to have seasonal fruits. So why this is because in that particular season, this particular fruit, which is having certain combination of phytoconstituents, is nurturing my microbiota in a specific manner. So everything is a logic. It's not a straight 1 + 1 2 that I can tell you, but I hope you got my point. Yes, Alia, have I answered your question? Can you recommend some books? Yes, there are a lot of books. Anything that is coming with APC, which is from Ireland, or from ISAP. Even if you go to ISAP, that is International Society for Probiotics and Prebiotics. Even if you go to their website, they have a whole list of books, resources, videos, tutorials, infographics that you can explore, and you can, dwell into the depths of this subject accordingly. Yes, anything else? Does the genome of the food affect the gut microbiota, or is there a chance of transformation of genes like GMO foods? Okay, Dilip, you have touched upon a very important subject. So there's a domain in science called as nutrigenomics. So for example, I'm having the aloo gobi. So in that gobi, the genome of that gobi is also going to, even after we cook it, it gets disintegrated and all. But yes, they are entering our own system. So how they are assimilated and how they are, used, or how do I say that? How they are assimilated and processed in my body is what is going to define it. So yes, nutrigenomics is very, very important area. That is I wouldn't say upcoming, it's already well established and known. So yes, the genome of the food also affects the gut microbiota. So for example, the gobi specifically that I told you is very rich in GC content. So again, like how and what is going inside does affect. And the chance of transformation of genes like the GMO foods. Yeah, GMO foods have their own ethical and concerns, which is still awaited to get clarity from the regulations and related bodies. So I wouldn't give a green signal to that for now. But yeah, definitely everything that is getting into my system is affecting the system by affecting the organisms inside my body. That is my microbiota. So you all have to be wise in terms of what you're putting into the system. Yeah, I hope that answers you, Dilip. In what ways can the analysis of gut microbiome composition be utilized to predict the responses to cancer immunotherapy treatments? Okay, for cancer also, people are trying to tap on the microbiome, but let me give you the word of caution. It's not used as a therapy. No, it's used for the palliative care. It's like a parallel attempt that you're trying to address. Okay, it's not a treatment. The immunotherapy treatment is totally different, where you're using immunoglobulins specifically to target the epitope of the cancerous cells or the specific components of those cancerous cells, basically in identifying, tapping them, and then killing them. So immunotherapy is different, but not. So you can run microbiome therapy or probiotics, prebiotics as the palliative care approach, not for the therapy for sure. Yeah. So I hope that answers you, Sneha.
Okay, I think great. So,
hello,
yeah, go ahead,
Nilesh.
Dr. Pandekar. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just wanted to make a comment. Excellent talk, Dr. Kavita.
Thank you so much, sir.
and you have covered a lot in a very short time. I just wanted to ask you one thing.
Yes, sir.
In one slide, you mentioned that pasteurized milk should be avoided, or it's not really good form.
Yes,
Good.
sir. Hmm.
So I understand that you are going to kill all heat sensitive organisms. Yes.
Hmm.
But at the same time, the unpasteurized milk is really not recommended because of the pathogens.
Agreed.
So all those who are young kids as well as the aged people, they are
Hmm.
advised to have everything which is really well,
Pash-
you know. So that only should be added there. Otherwise, everybody thinks for good microbiome, just go and have milk.
Okay. Okay, got it. So that point, sir, in that slide was with a different
Yeah, I
thought
understand
process.
diversity of the organisms going in your body will be reduced when you use pasteurization,
That is
right?
true. That is true, but that has to be really controlled. I cannot have the like the doodh wala coming with the open cane and drinking that milk directly, because that can also contain a lot of pathogens and other kind of organism thing. Here the point of pasteurized milk was, it is seen that when the milk is pasteurized, there's instant flash heating that happens and the microbial cells are dead, and when they are dead, their what do you call that, some of the toxins from their body are also released, or when you consume them, they have a different kind of metabolism, something like that I had read it, but it was uh, a sporadic, a rare isolation wala study. So maybe in my slides I can change that aspect as per your.
At least you can just
Huh.
qualify that inclusion there. That's all.
Okay, sure, sir.
Otherwise, your point, whoever put that in that slide is proper, but then there are lots of angle to that. Yeah,
Absolutely, sir. Taken,
yeah,
taken.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very nice lecture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, I think we'll just wrap up, and I would like to thank Dr. Kavita, and whoever wants to connect with her, I think she has already put her LinkedIn uh, link as well as her email address, so you can reach out to her in future as well. I hope all the students have also filled in the feedback form so that your attendance can also be captured. And I would like to thank once again, Dr. Kavita for a fantastic presentation. Also, some of our senior AFSTI Mumbai members, Dr. Jayant Bandekar, Dr. KD Yadav, and others who have joined us. Thank you very much. And I announce the official closure of today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nilesh sir and AFSTI.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful lecture, Nilesh and Dr. Kavita. I must really thank our organization to having such a very interesting topic and very pertinent to the current situations, when we are, bombarded with so much of dietary supplements and all that. Probably managing the gut microflora can be the easier and better route to address. But yes, it's very complex.
It's
And we
very.
need to really thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you.